You're listening to The Dan Nicholl Show.
It is restaurant royalty on the Dan Nicholl Show this week in the company of yet another person who I wish I had an ounce of the cooking ability of, and somebody whose meals I've enjoyed on a regular basis, and somebody I introduce with a slightly new term because, Ryan Cole, it is now the man behind Salsify South African Restaurant of the Year. And that probably doesn't get old.
No, it's got a good ring to it. I like it.
Congratulations, and it is fabulous. And while these are never the awards that define you and they don't make or break who you are, it is still a pretty cool one to get.
Yeah, I think it is the one to get in. Like, it's the Oscars of South Africa. I think, like, you know, of all the awards to win, I think this is a massive sort of like bucket list award. And about it, like you said, it isn't the defining thing. It's just like the fruit of a very healthy tree, which is always nice to see.
And it puts you at the top of a tree in Cape Town, certainly in the eyes of the judges. That is a fairly large one because, as everybody in Cape Town will tell those of us like me who come from Johannesburg, there aren't any restaurants in Johannesburg. All of the restaurants are in Cape Town and the Winelands, and you do have some pretty stiff competition, which makes it really healthy, makes it lovely for people like me who love to eat out. But I think also allows you to look and say, right, well, you know, we've also got places like Fane in Cape Town, and we've got places out in Constantia, and we've got Bertus Basson's 71 restaurants, and I'm the one who's at the top of that lot. So without being smug about it, it is a really cool endorsement from your peers.
It is. I mean, I think Cape Town is just so spoiled for choice. I think the competition is extremely stiff, and I think our attitude has very much been a case of we're not trying to beat anyone. We're just trying to do what we do and like just keep redefining what we're doing and keep angling in on what it is we stand for and what we strive to do. And I think that kind of puts you apart. So you're not trying to beat anyone. You're just trying to be the best version of what it is that you're offering.
It pays tribute to not just you, but to the whole restaurant team. You've got a phenomenal team. I've seen them at work. They do a terrific job. In fact, generally, as is the case with chefs, they're the ones who are actually doing the work while you sort of stand in a corner and shout at people and never have to wash dishes. But from a personal perspective, there are not many industries that demand as much personally as being a chef. The hours are stupid. 99 people love the food, but the one who doesn't is the one who pops up on social media and gives you a hard time about it. It can eat away a lot of you. So how much does this offset some of that and go, you know what, those long nights were worth it?
I was lucky enough to work with a few very good people, and one of them was Phil Howard back at the Square, and you know he always said that being a chef is a long time to spend being bad at something. So I think this industry is one that you can only get into if you're obsessed with it. It's all consuming. So I think as much as awards are like really cool and gratifying, and it's a big benchmark, I think they're also kind of, if you allow them to, they can consume you quite quickly, quite easily. So for me, it's very much, you know, like the success of the restaurant is it's full every night. I've got a team of people that have been with me for years. Everyone's happy. That is at the end of the day, that is what sustainability is. It's a restaurant that can sustain itself. And I think having that is actually the thing that makes me most proud, and for everyone else to look at the restaurant and go like, wow, this is the best restaurant in the country. It's cool, but every one of the people that work with me and for me believe it, and that is enough, and that's how we've gotten to where we've gotten to.
It's certainly not the end of your journey, but it is a really important part of a journey that's been running a long way. Go back to Ryan the Kid. If I look at the Nicholl household, there was massive triumph earlier this year when my 8-year-old son was able to make his first jelly, which put him some way ahead of me at the same age, culinary ability. Were you at the age of 5 whipping up double-baked cheese soufflés in the kitchen? When did the love of food start, and when did you discover you were quite good at this?
I mean, I still don't know if I'm any good at it. I think I've just been at it for a long time. So I've always been in the kitchen. So the earliest stories of me are at creche at like 4 years old, and then you'd always find me in the kitchen. You know, most kids at playtime are outside playing. I was always in the kitchen with the tea lady named Belinda, and I was always the one making sandwiches, making the tea, and I was just like obsessed with it from that. And then it sort of like grew into it, and then we used to have cooking programs called like Can't Cook, Won't Cook with ANZ Harriet, which was just absolutely mental to me. And then there was like people like Nick Nairn who were on after him, and it's like people could just get like 4 or 5 ingredients and turn them into something absolutely magnificent. And I was just like hooked, obsessed. So I think it's always been there. It's absolutely always been there, and it's just something that I've fed throughout my whole life.
I remember having Ainsley Harriot's book. I think it was called Dinner in 15 Minutes.
Yes.
Something that was completely dishonest because it took 3 hours
Absolutely.
and a call to the fire department. But they were so fun to watch. And there are millions of us around the world who think we are cooks and who love watching these shows, but very few of you actually have that sort of ability. Was there a particular point where you remember where you pulled off a dish as a teenager, or you did something that made you realize, you know what, there's a bit of magic here?
I think it was in high school. I think it was probably standard 7. I was like one of the 3 guys that did home economics because it was like a girls class. So I was like, okay, cool, cooking, home economics, I'm in. It was that or woodwork. I was like, what am I going to do with woodwork? And so one of the other guys in the class, he had his grandmother's lasagna recipe, and so we had cooked it, or I had cooked it from scratch off of the recipe that his grandmother had done. And I was like blown away. I was like, what have I just done here? And so I think that was a sort of defining moment where it was like I'd won that competition in the class, and it was kind of like this might be my thing. And apparently it is.
My great friend Pete Goff Wood had his famous Kitchen Cowboy space, which was teaching hopeless guys how to make that one date meal when you convince somebody silly enough to come around for dinner. You must have been an absolute champion as a young teenage stud with kitchen abilities and whipping up meals.
I mean, I've always just hidden in the kitchen, so it's always been my place of refuge. So from like the first job I ever had was delivering newspapers, and then on a Saturday morning I'd go in and I'd work at this bakery at a hotel in Newlands called the Vineyard Hotel. And so I'd go in every morning, a Saturday, because my dad is a fisherman. So he would drop me off at the hotel at like 3:30 in the morning on his way to sea. So he would be in his canary yellow Nissan Safari, pulled outside with a commercial fishing boat behind him, and off I would jump and walk into the bakery underground in the Vineyard Hotel. So that's where you'd find me all my teenage years.
It's lovely that your dad comes up so quickly, because I did want to ask you about that element. The seafood at Salsify, the seafood at Koi, everywhere I've eaten where you have had a hand, it's not just that seafood features, it's that the story behind that seafood features. And that's borderline obsession with you, because a combination of your own passion, but also your father's, it's really a rich part of who you are as a chef.
Yeah, I think having grown up with a dad that was a commercial fisherman, I think like that life is so difficult. So it's one that I've seen like so closely. So for me, the connection between the trade of being in a kitchen and the effort and the risk that it takes to get this beautiful fish. You know, most places order in fish filleted, which to me I mean, I can't imagine ordering just fillets of fish. You know, people think fish just comes cling wrapped and that's how you get it out the ocean. But like for me,
It doesn't?
No, believe it or not, it doesn't. So for me, the beauty in breaking down a fish is it's like all part of the story, which is why it's become such a fundamental part of what we do everywhere we do it, because it's so close to me. It pulls on my heartstrings, and where things come from, the like how it's been harvested. It's everything. And I think being in a position where I can like honor the ingredients and the people behind them is probably like the biggest triumph for me.
It gives you that whole fish to work with. In carnivorous terms, it's the head to tail philosophy, and to play around with recipes and interpretations. But how much do you still get to do that? Because when you get to the very top of the chef tree, you've got a couple of great restaurants, you've got lots of people working under you. Do you still get to spend time doing actual cooking yourself?
Every single night. Every single night I'm in the kitchen. So my working week is Tuesday to a Sunday, and then I'm off on a Sunday night and a Monday generally. And so Monday is kind of admin day, and like we do a lot of meetings and things. But you'll find me in one of the kitchens every single night, and it's either on the grill or on the pass. But I think the secret to how we've maintained our standards and managed to elevate and keep pushing is the fact that Nina, who runs Salsify, either she is there or I am there, and one of us is physically cooking and checking absolutely everything from start to finish, every single service.
Sounds exhausting.
I'm obsessed. It's, you know, I've been doing this, I'm 36 now, I've been doing this since I was 16, which is, it's a couple of years now. And it's something I wake up every day, and it never bores me. I wake up and I'm like, I can't wait to go to work. So my day, I'll wake up, I'll walk my dogs, and then off I go to work. I love it. I'm just obsessed with it.
When you do have that obsession, when you do have that complete and utter belief in what you do, and particularly in your case, you do it so well, How do you deal with the people who don't always fully appreciate, enjoy the customer who's having a tantrum because something that's clearly absolutely fine they feel is not? The person who posts a review or posts something, do you try and ignore all of that? How do you compartmentalize all of that?
I think we're generally very lucky. The team's approach and something that we pride ourselves in is somebody walks in, like we've had no control over how your day has gone. We've got no control over what's happened leading up to you walking into lunch or for dinner. We've got no control over the fact that your Uber driver almost killed you, and so we always, anybody that comes in, and we always make it our challenge to change a narrative and to turn your evening into a pleasant one. So even when we have rocky starts, the team will be on high alert that, even if people are like not very pleasant, we still take it on the chin, and we don't take it as a reflection on ourselves. I think the way people act, often you can take it as it's a them problem. It's not an us problem. And the people that like post things online and post bad reviews, very often those people, I mean, if you go through the history, it won't be, if it's one negative review and the other 15 reviews they've posted are all positive, then obviously we've done something wrong. But I think there is always something to learn, and I think things are they only give it the power that you allow it. So I think that's kind of like one of it doesn't define what we do, and I think there's a strong belief in what we do and why we do it and the people we do it with. So it's, yeah, I mean, I look at all reviews and take all of them seriously, but I give them the weight that they deserve.
I mostly post under a pseudonym, so you don't know
I
who
will
all
be
that
looking.
criticism comes from. One of the great challenges of doing what you do is finding a sense of balance. If I look at some of my other friends in the industry, David Higgs and his bicycle, they have an almost unhealthily close relationship. Bertus jumping on his motorbike, Ruben Riffel, who's probably the worst golfer in South Africa, but that doesn't stop him. They've all got an outlet of sorts. Do you have that outlet?
Yeah, the ocean, 100%. So any free time I do have, I'll be on a fishing boat or on a charter boat. So my eldest brother and I, we're quite close, and he's also now a commercial fisherman, and he has a fishing charter business. So we spend a lot of time fishing together. And any opportunity I do get, I'll be out on the ocean. But every single morning I spend in the forest. So my days always start in the forest because I've got two little dogs that always have to be walked. So it's always in the forest. And when I have free time or free morning, I'm always on the ocean. So that is my escape, my like sounding board. It's just it's also, the ocean is a place that makes you feel really small. So it also puts all your problems back into perspective, because it's so great and so mighty, and like, yeah, it's just yeah.
So the day starts nice and calmly and zen-like. It often doesn't finish that way, because I've been into the restaurant at the height of service, and it's a train station at rush hour. Do you still get the same buzz every night when you see that full restaurant? You see the dishes going out, you see the smiles on faces.
I love it. And the thing is that I think one of the things that make restaurants so great is the fact that every day you start from zero, and every day you end on zero, because and that's the thing about it. It starts with nothing. You create something, you make something, you put it on the plate, people consume it. They often, I mean, we're very lucky. We often have people going, we're from Europe, and you're like, oh wow, okay, and we've been to Michelin star restaurants, and they're like, oh wow, yes, and this is also like really, really good. You would definitely have a Michelin star. Why is there no Michelin star in this country? So it's like a never-ending cycle. So we always have people that are very complimentary, and it's reassuring, because you've created something, and then at the end of the day, everything's gone, everything's clean. Next day you start again. So it's just an opportunity to reinvent every single day.
I always find it's very helpful to the chef, if I have access to her or to him, to just point out a few things that they could have done a little better. Some of the things that my mother-in-law does that I think you could possibly work on, change. How much biting of tongue is there on a nightly basis?
I mean, like you become quite like thick-skinned, because and that's also the thing about food. Everybody's got an idea of how things should be done, and it triggers so many different emotions for so many different people for different things. Like one of my closest childhood friends, he had cancer, and while he was going through chemo, the smell and the taste and the texture of mushrooms is something, like, he was obsessed with mushrooms before, and then when he was going through chemo, it is something that absolutely disgusted him. So I'll never forget, he came over. He lives in the UK, And then I'd like done this beautiful truffle and wild mushroom that I'd foraged in the forest, and I was so excited to cook for him. And he literally looked at me, he's like, I cannot eat that. And I was like, what? He's like,
Ah,
no, I actually like, I feel sick looking at it. So like things like that, those interactions that make you realize that like things trigger so many different things from people. So when people are like, oh, but this is how we had it there, it's like, okay, cool, then go back there.
Speaking of going to places, you've obviously got loads of natural ability, but you pick up inspiration from all over the place. Has there been a lot of travel? Are there places where you go to draw more inspiration from to see where your journey could continue to take you?
I look at everything. So I think one of the challenges is to always be able to look at the same thing with new eyes. And I think when you can master the ability to look at the same thing through different angles, different like versions of what it is, I think it helps you stay inspired and keeps you creative. I love traveling just because I think it's like it's the reward of hard work. I think like getting to see new places and like new cultures. So I'm obsessed with it. We try and go overseas every year, but it's not to like go to restaurants to draw inspiration and like try and bring back things. It's just to see new things and see new places and kind of broaden my own horizons. A lot of inspiration for the dishes that we get, it'll be through staff meals, because we've got, I think we've got a team of about 30 people at Salsify and another 35 at Koi. So staff meals are quite often, we'll give people things where you'll be like, hey, cool, cook your most favorite grandmother's dish, and that'll be the theme for the week. And then we'll go through everyone, and then somebody will be Afrikaans, and they'll be like, oh, my gran used to do like these mustard pickled onions, and I'll be like, what? And then that's kind of how we learn, and then that we'll learn from each other and learn from the staff. And I quite like playing with the idea of like South Africanisms in our food, because I believe there's a story that we need to tell that we haven't developed yet. And I'm South African, but my mom is Scottish, and so my version of like South African classics versus like a Bertus Passons are so vastly different, but we're both South African. So I like playing with that, and that's something that we really lean into and unpack like people's cultures and things, and that's kind of what the ideas behind new dishes will be. And then I'll turn it into a narrative that we can tell and educate people into like what South African people eat. And it's not like a English thing, it's not an Afrikaans thing, it's not a Zulu thing, it's not a Xhosa thing, it's South Africanism as a whole.
I must say, you've overcome one half of your heritage, being deep fried Mars bars and haggis, quite magnificently, to give us what we have. And not just Salsify. And you mentioned it a second ago. I've eaten at Koi a couple of times now, and I had an blindingly good experience, not just from the setting and from the food. Wonderful sommelier. We drank some great wine, and it was a really, really cool and enjoyable experience as the Ryan Cole empire begins to grow. And it's something we see around the world with chefs. They've done so well, they expand, they push their creative boundaries, but there also comes a little bit of a juggle, right? I've now got two restaurants, suddenly it becomes three or four. How easy is that for you to occupy the two spaces at the same time?
I think the key is definitely a case of growing the stable of talent and then expanding. I don't think you can do it successfully the other way around. I think when you've got a bubbling pool of talented people and people who are ambitious and they want to take on more and learn more, I think it naturally just happens that you can then expand, opposed to going, okay, cool, I want to open another restaurant. Where do we start? So I think if I look at Salsify, for example, Eden, our restaurant manager, has been with me for 5 years. He started out as a waiter. The guys in the bar have started in the scullery and they've worked their way up, and we send them for training. Nina's been at Salsify from day one. And it's the same with the team at Koi. Pierre was with me at Salsify a few years ago. Gemma was a hostess at Salsify a few years ago, and then Urban has come into the fold. And Jeff and Tanola I've known for years and years and years. So it's just a natural progression of I think when you the angle is to give people opportunity to grow and expand, the job becomes very easy. Then my job is to mentor and I let people think. So I point them in the direction that I want us to go in, and then you must figure it out. And I'm here for when you need me, but at the end of the day, I trust you that this is what you need to perform.
You clearly have a great team because both operate and hum along wonderfully in the context, as we said already, of this amazing food city. And it's quite easy to come to Cape Town and write, I'm going to go to these five restaurants because they've won the awards and you'll have an amazing experience. But then there are all those places that aren't quite so well known but can offer an equally exciting experience at the risk of giving away your top secret spot that nobody goes to, that you have all to yourself. Are there one of the two of those places where you're not getting Michelin cuisine, but by God, are you getting a good experience?
Definitely. So I think my all-time favorite is Hisheng in Sea Point.
That's a hole in the side of a wall.
It's magnificent. You cannot go wrong there. It's the most nourishing food you will ever eat, and I promise you, you will see every single chef in Cape Town at Hisheng. And then another one I absolutely love is in Cork Bay. It's called Baimar. It's a Portuguese place. It's like park benches, plastic tablecloth, like cushion with like like back in the day your gran would like wrap the furniture, like it's like that, but the baby chicken that they do there is
Oh,
phenomenal. It's like, okay, cool, we have red wine, white wine, or Castle Light. Those are your three options. You like
that is so authentically Portuguese.
you can have whatever you want as long as it's this. So those two are my absolute go-to. And then if we're going to go for a drive, sort of Melkbour's Kitchen, also phenomenal. You sit like right on the beach. It's just near enough to be far away, but it's like you still feel like you're going on a little bit of a holiday. And then in Pringle Bay, there's a place called the Book Club, and it's one of the most underrated restaurants in the whole of South Africa. It's incredible. Well, I mean, I don't think I'll get a table after this now.
The bookings are filling up as we speak at the moment. And then what about one other food destination that you have mentioned in passing, and that would be Chez Ryan. If we drop by, you mentioned the mushrooms you made for your friend. Am I more likely to be finding some seared lobster on a truffled risotto or a fish finger and tomato sauce sandwich?
Definitely a fish finger tomato sauce sandwich.
Oh, it's a
Definitely.
cracker.
Yeah, absolutely. In this sort of time of year, it's all about the mushrooms. So it's like it's a lot of foraging, because I mean we don't set out to go foraging. We just happen to be in the forest with our dogs. So there's a lot of mushrooms this time of year, and obviously we go fishing quite often. So very often there'll be a lot of bride whole fish, and yeah, it's simple, clean, healthy food. We eat very, very like healthily, because the thing is, like, I think chefs at our sort of level, you have to be an athlete, so you really need to look after yourself, and it's very important. I believe that the car doesn't run if you don't put fuel in it, and the quality of what you put into your body is very important. So Nina and I, we eat very healthily. Like, we're very conscious of what we consume and where it comes from.
Times have changed. That old maxim of never trust a skinny chef is long, long gone.
Yeah.
Which is a pity. It rules me out, sadly. The accolade you have has put you on top of the restaurant world in South Africa. Your challenge, of course, is to now stay up there, which I'm sure you will. But beyond that, you're only 36. You've got years and years ahead of you. Are there still floating on the horizon one or two things that you think, yeah, one day I really want to have that dim sum bar in Plumstead. I really want to open this or that. Is there still a culinary itch to scratch?
I think there always will be. I think, somebody said to me, like, so, well, I don't think I'll ever retire. But I mean, we could have this conversation in 10 years. I could feel very differently. But I think, our careers are long. I think it's important to learn your craft. I think it's important to do what you're doing for the right reasons. I'm well aware of the fact that, the cycles are long and your careers are long, so you will never be the top of the pops forever, and there'll always be something new coming. There'll always be somebody coming after you, somebody wanting what you have. And I think if you do what you do for the right reasons, I think that in itself is longevity. I mean, I can imagine being like a Harold from Aubergine, like, he still opens his restaurant, he still locks his restaurant, he's got one of the most incredible cellars in the world, never mind the country.
And he's 116 years old.
Yeah, exactly. So I think, so for me, that's something I would aspire to be, and I would like to use my opportunity to give people the opportunity to grow and to develop. And it's very difficult to open a restaurant. It's also very expensive. So if I can use what I've learned and what I've gained to give people the opportunity that I've been lucky enough to come across, then I think it's a life worth living.
In closing, some guidance to those of us who come and eat. What, when we come to a restaurant like Salsify, are we doing wrong? What can we do to be better customers, to enjoy the experience more, to just get the best out of what we do when we come to a restaurant like yours?
I think leave your expectations at the door. I think it's very important. It's Marco Pierre once said he said, you don't go to somebody's house and criticize their curtains. So I think it's important to go to a restaurant with an open mind, and not like have this preconceived notion like, oh, okay, cool, so this is number one, is it? like just go there as a customer. You're spending your hard-earned money, so go there with the mindset of you're there to enjoy it, because that's what it is at the end of the day. I mean, there's no point of spending your hard-earned money and then going like, okay, cool, is this it? Like, I think.
I think that's a lovely notion in theory. I think nobody is going to do that because you are the #1 restaurant in South Africa.
Yeah.
And I'm coming with massive expectations next time. But the good thing is I know that they will be met in their entirety, because that is Salsify, that is also koi, which I love. And that is whatever comes next, because I know there will be things to come next. Ryan, congratulations. Thank you. On a lovely calm day, I'd love to come out fishing with you at some point. But between now and then, I shall be back to the restaurant with my high expectations, and looking forward to reveling in the joy that you give so many of us on a daily basis.
Thank you so much, Dan.
There we go. The man who has Salsify, the South African Restaurant of the Year, amongst his many, many other accolades, Ryan Cole on The Dan Nicholl Show.
You're listening to The Dan Nicholl Show.